Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Alright, today we will learn about laboratory safety. So let's begin with the definition of a laboratory. Laboratory is a place, building or part of a building used for scientific and related work that may be hazardous. So the laboratory can include activity of teaching or learning, research, clinical or diagnostic, testing and analysis. And in a laboratory, it has several associated areas, including preparation, instrumentation, decontamination, wash-up, and storage rooms or a workshop in an engineering area. So why is safety important? Particularly in the laboratory. First, laboratory safety is under the legal requirement in federal law, which is under the wing of OSH, Occupational Safety and Hazard. Second, safety is important considering to the financial implications. For example, if the lab that you are working is not safe, then there may be high risk for several accident events to occur. Thus, it will implicate back to the financial aspect, as you will pay more to just do the repairing works instead of focusing on the safety aspect. And the third one, it is because everyone desires to work in a safe environment, right? And also, back to the moral responsibility, not to endanger other people that are working together inside the laboratory. So in a lab, I'm sure you have seen some of these laboratory safety signs. So these signs are important to indicate the character of the item or the specific area in the laboratory. Okay, for example here, the skull symbol means toxic. Alright. And okay, remember students, safety is very important in a laboratory. So, as shown here in this image, alright, make sure you don't bring any food or don't eat food in the laboratory. Okay, let's take a look at these photos. What do you think of the laboratory in both pictures? Okay, of course, one thing that we all agree is the lab here in these photos are very messy and unorganized. And I'm sure you all are not happy to work in this laboratory, right? As compared to this laboratory. Of course, you will love to work in this laboratory compared to the previous laboratory. But I want you to point out one unsafety aspect that you can find from this photo. Okay? Please write your answer in the comment below. Alright. So one of the aspects to ensure the laboratory is safe to work is from the laboratory design and construction. So during the lab design and construction, it is important to identify the health and safety risks that could arise throughout the life cycle of the laboratory building or structure. Okay, and where practicable, you have to eliminate the risk, or if you cannot, you have to reduce the risk in the laboratory. So this process include laboratory personnel, project managers, design managers, architects, engineers, and others involved in the laboratory design and construction process. Okay, so what is hazard? Okay, hazard is anything that may cause injury, harm, or damage. So laboratory hazard generally classified into 5 categories. Okay, biological hazard, okay, such as pathogenic microorganism, chemical hazard, okay, physical hazard, electrical or mechanical hazard, and also psychological hazard, okay, such as emotional stress in the laboratory. Okay, I'm sure you have heard the word biohazard before. Okay, maybe in the book or in a movie. Okay, so actually the word biohazard comes from biological hazard. Okay, it is an agent of biological origin that has the capacity to produce deleterious effects on humans. Okay, so the sign here is the biohazard symbol. Alright, the question is what and how can someone be exposed to hazards in a laboratory? Okay, there are 5 routes of exposure. Okay, inoculation by sharp object. Okay, through spills or splash, through ingestion, through animal bites or scratches, and also inhalation. Okay, here are some list of universal precautions in a laboratory. Okay, you may take your time to read the list and make sure you practice it wherever possible when you are working in a laboratory. Alright, now let's talk about biosafety levels. But before that, make sure you don't get confused between biosafety levels and biosafety cabinet. Both are 2 different things. Okay. Biosafety is the application of combinations of laboratory practice and procedure, laboratory facilities, and safety equipment when working with potentially infectious microorganisms and hazardous materials. Okay, so the rank or level is determined based on the agents or organisms on which the research or work is being conducted. Okay, so different level of biosafety depends on the several aspects. Okay, what biological agent that you used, and the safe work practices, what is the specialized safety equipment that you used, and the facility design aspect. Okay, to make it simple, you consider that, for example, the more hazardous the biological agent that you use, or the more safe work practices that you need to do, meaning that the higher the biosafety level will be. Okay, now we start first with Biosafety Level 1. Okay, so level 1 means the lowest level. Okay, okay, this biosafety level, it applies to work with agents that usually pose no harm to the workers and the environment. Okay, and generally the activity in the laboratory can be performed on standard open benches. Okay, you don't need any special containment equipment. Alright, just open bench is good enough in the biosafety level 1. And biosafety level 1, the labs are not usually isolated from the general building. Okay, and the safe work practices in biosafety level 1 are usually enough to protect laboratory workers and other employees in the building. Standard laboratory practice in Biosafety Level 1 also require attention to personal hygiene. Okay, for example, washing your hand, okay, before and after you do the lab work, and prohibition on eating, drinking, or smoking in the lab. Okay, these are all some of the standard laboratory practices. And the PPE that normally used in biosafety levels is also the generally PPE that you want in a normal lab. Okay, consisting of eye protection, gloves, and lab coat. Okay, now next, Biosafety Level 2. Okay, so in Biosafety Level 2, it covers the work with agents associated with human diseases. Okay, in other words, pathogenic or infectious organism. So you can see that now the ranking is number 2. So the agent is becoming more pathogenic and infectious compared to Biosafety Level 1, with the agent pose no harms to the human. Alright? So all the safe work practices that you apply in Biosafety Level 1, you need to apply it in the Biosafety Level 2 and add some more safe work practices in the Biosafety Level 2. Alright, such as the contaminated shops are handled with extreme caution. Okay, use the disposable syringe needle units, and appropriate puncture-resistant shops containers are mandatory. Alright, direct handling of broken glassware is prohibited, and you need to decontaminate all shops materials prior to disposal. Alright. And as compared to Biosafety Level 1, in Biosafety Level 2, the access to the lab is more controlled. Okay? Immunocompromised and other persons that have increased risk for infection may be denied to enter the laboratory. Okay? Because you will handle the pathogenic or infectious agents. And Bsl2 labs must also provide the next level of barriers. Okay, as compared to Biosafety Level 1, you don't need a special equipment, but here you need a special safety equipment and facilities such as Class 2 Biosafety Cabinet, right, and an autoclave, right, to decontaminate the materials. And also in Biosafety Level 2, you need to have a ready available eye wash station. Okay, it is important. Here is the image of the Biosafety Level 2 laboratory. Okay, now we move to the Biosafety Level 3. Okay, so as it becomes higher, so the agent also become more hazardous. Okay, so in level 3, you will handle example agents such as yellow fever, St. Louis encephalitis, and West Nile virus. Okay, some of the examples of agents that you need to use Biosafety Level 3 practices and containment. Right? These agents are indigenous or exotic that may cause serious or lethal disease via aerosol transmission. Okay? And again, as I mentioned earlier, all the standard laboratory practice that you apply in Biosafety Level 2, you need to apply here in Biosafety Level 3 on top of the some more safe work practices in Biosafety Level 3. And it is more stringent to access to the Biosafety Level 3. Okay. Okay, and for the PPE in Biosafety Level 3 laboratory, you need to use a lead coat, which is called TVAC. Okay, it is solid front wrap around gowns, scrub suits, or coveralls. Okay, made with special materials such as TVAC, and you need to use a respirator. Alright. And for the facility design in Biosafety Level 3 Laboratory, it should incorporate the self-closing double door access that's separated from the main building corridors. Alright? And also equipped with ventilation. And now we move to the final biosafety level, which is number 4. And the agents that you will be handled in biosafety level 4 are extremely dangerous and pose a high risk of life-threatening disease. Okay? For example, agent that you will use in biosafety level 4 laboratory are Ebola virus, Lassa virus, and any agent with unknown risk of pathogenicity and transmission. Alright? To the Bsl3 practices, you add more requirements. Okay, complete clothing change before entry. Okay, in Bsl3 you don't need to change your clothes, but here on top of all the standard laboratory practices in Bsl3, you have to apply in Bsl4, and some more additional practices. You need to change your clothes before you enter the lab. And there is a shower on the exit door. Okay, you need to decontaminate all materials prior to leaving the facility. Okay, and in Bsl4 laboratory, it must have a class 3 biological safety cabinet. Alright, and usually Bsl4 laboratories are located in separate buildings. Okay, they are totally isolated from the main buildings, okay, with a complete supply of ventilation. Okay, we usually are filtered through the HEPA filters. Okay, this is the image showing you example of workers in the biosafety level 4. So, here comes my question. Do you know what is the biosafety level laboratory for SARS-CoV-2 virus that leads to COVID-19? Okay, write down your answer in the comment section below. Alright, so to sum up all the Bsl level 1 to 4, okay, so Bsl 1, it is applicable to agents that are not known to cause disease, means posing no harms to the human. While Bsl2 is applicable to agents that are associated with human diseases, okay, pathogenic and infectious diseases. And Bsl3 is applicable to the indigenous or exotic agents associated with potentials for aerosol transmission. And Bsl4 is applicable to dangerous or exotic agents of life-threatening nature. Okay, you know already about biosafety level. Now we move to biosafety cabinets. Okay, so biosafety cabinets, there are 3 classes. Okay, so for class 1, it is designed to provide personal and environmental protection only. Okay, it does not protect the product. Okay, so for biosafety class 1, they protect you, they protect the user and also the environment. But your product, let's say your culture or a petri dish, they will not protect your sample from contamination, because dirty room air constantly enters into the cabinet, okay, to flow across the work surface. Okay, how about biosafety cabinet class 2? Okay, it meets requirements for the protection of product, personnel, and environment. Okay, so for class 2, they protect all 3 things. Okay, you, environment, and the product, your samples. Okay, so class 2 biosafety cabinets are usually used when working with aerosol transmissible microorganisms. And biosafety cabinet class 3 have both HEPA filtered supply and exhaust air and are totally enclosed, okay, and gas tight while work is performed using long sleeve gloves. Okay, as you can see from the image below, alright, it's totally enclosed. Okay, you just have a long sleeve gloves where you can just put your hand on the long sleeve gloves. Alright, because it is gas tight. Okay, it's totally enclosed. So for biosafety cabinet class 3, it provides the highest level of protection to the personnel, the worker, to the product or your samples, and to the environment. Okay. So this biosafety cabinet class 3 is very suitable to work with Bsl3 or 4 agents. Okay. Alright. And you know already about the biological hazard. Now we touch a bit on a chemical hazard. Okay. So to avoid chemical hazards in the laboratory, okay, some example here: avoid direct contact with the chemicals. Okay, avoid touching your face with your hands while in the laboratory. Okay, because you don't know how hazardous the chemical is. Okay, in case your skin is exposed to the chemicals, wash your hand immediately with lots of water. Alright? And remember, always wash your hands very well with soap, okay? Before leaving the lab. Alright. In case, okay, if you have been exposed to the chemicals in the laboratory, so what will you do? Okay? Okay, we have safety shower and eye wash. That's why these two equipments are important and they need to be equipped in the laboratory. Okay. Okay. For example, you have a body contact with chemicals. Okay. You have to go to the safety shower. All right. And then, if appropriate, you may remove your clothes. All right. And if you have a face contact with the chemical, alright, you have to wash your face immediately using the eye wash fountain, okay, for about 15 minutes. Alright, make sure you do not take off the goggles. But if you have eye contact with the chemicals, okay, you can remove your goggles, okay, and rinse your eye using the eye wash fountain for about 15 minutes. Okay, here are the images of safety shower and eye wash. Usually, the safety shower and eye wash are combined in one equipment, but maybe in some laboratories they are separated. Okay. Alright, let's say there is a chemical spill occur in the laboratory. Okay, so what will you do? Okay, so here comes the chemical spill management. Alright. Of course, you need to prevent chemical spill from happen. Alright, you need to use the appropriate chemical containers with seals and stored appropriately. And for the chemical spill management, alright, several aspects you need to consider. Chemical spill response kit must be readily available in the laboratory. Okay, so you can reach it anytime in case the spillage happen. And of course, the laboratory employees need to be trained accordingly, okay, to manage the chemical spill. And ensure that appropriate PPE is provided and used, okay, during the chemical spill management. Alright, for chemical spill response, right, the dangerous goods or hazardous substance that has been spilled should be cleaned up immediately. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the steps in chemical spill management. Okay, step 1, you need to assess safety and stop the source of the spill. Alright, make sure first thing you need to limit access to the immediate area where the spill has occurred. Okay, ensure only the personnel with the appropriate training and equipment can deal with the chemical spillage. Right. Step 2, review safety precautions and risk controls. Okay, you check back the MSDS from the chemical that has been spilled on the floor. And the MSDS will have specific instruction on how to deal with the chemical spills. Okay, they will provide you the information. Step 3, clean up the spill. Okay, make sure you use appropriate PPE. Okay, to cover the spill with absorbent material. Okay, some absorbent example of absorbent materials are polymer or hydrogels. Okay, using a dustpan or spade, okay, collect the absorbent materials, okay, and place into a thick wall puncture-proof chemical resistant bag, which is suitably labeled. Okay, these are all included in the chemical spillage kit. And number 4, step 4, notify the appropriate authority. And step 5, restock the chemical spill kit. Okay, restock the spill kit immediately and return it to its designated storage location. So in case another spillage occur, then you already have restocked the chemical spill kit. Alright, as I mentioned earlier, yes, of course, the laboratory design and construction is important aspect, okay, to ensure the laboratory safety. But back to the responsibility of the staff and the students. You yourself must take a personal responsibility to ensure that you are working in a safety environment and you are also not harming other people that are working in the laboratory. Okay, here are some of the personal responsibilities I've listed down here. You can take your time and read it. Alright, that's all for the laboratory safety lecture. Okay, with that, thank you everyone.